Hello, good evening. I'm Father Alexander. This is St. Peter's in Hove, and welcome to our 54th step in our walking tour through the Bible. More importantly, welcome to our first step through the book of Joshua. Now, we've left the Pentateuch behind, the first 5 books of the Bible, and now we come to the book of Joshua, the book that deals essentially with the conquest of the land. The children of Israel are now ready to go into the promised land and to take it by force from its original inhabitants. And that is essentially the story of the book of Joshua. Now, who is Joshua? Well, the first chapter tells us who Joshua is. If you just look at the first chapter, it's nice and self-contained. First of all, it talks of Joshua as being Moses' adjutant. That's in the first verse. Now, in the Latin version, he's minister Moisi. He is the minister of Moses, the assistant of Moses. I think really the only thing to say, if you want to understand what Joshua's role is, he's the right hand of Moses. He's Moses' right-hand man. And Moses is now dead. He's been secretly buried by God. And God says to Joshua, you now must continue the task of Moses. And what Moses would have done, you can now do. Now, if we look very carefully at verses 6, 7, 8, and 9, God speaks to Joshua and says, be strong and stand firm, for you are the man to give the people possession of the land, which I swore to their ancestors I would give them. So he's going to be the instrument of God in carrying out God's promise. Only be strong and stand very firm, and be careful to keep the whole law which my servant Moses laid down for you. So you must do what Moses said. Do not swerve from either the right or to the left, then you will succeed wherever you go. Have the book of this law always on your lips. Meditate on it day and night, so you may carefully keep everything that is written in it. Then your undertakings will prosper, then you will have success. Have I not told you? Be strong and stand firm. Be fearless and undaunted, for go where you may, the Lord your God is with you. Now, just as God was completely with Moses, God will completely be with Joshua as well. Joshua has inherited, if you like, using a different incident from the Bibles, we'll see, he's inherited the mantle of Moses. So what we see here are 2 things. First of all, we see the very first foreshadowing of what we call nowadays apostolic succession. That is to say, and remember, right at the end of the book of Deuteronomy, Moses imposed his hands on Joshua, sort of investing him with his power. So Joshua has the same powers as Moses. The gifts given to Moses will continue in the chosen people. And secondly, as Joshua is going to carry out the will of God for the people, he's going to lead them and lead them into the conquest of the land. In other words, the provision of Joshua is a sign of God's continuing care for his people. He does not leave them alone. He makes provision for future generations. The other thing about Joshua that's interesting is that he organizes the people into the various cohorts that are going to conquer the land. Joshua is not really a character in the same way as Moses, but he shows us the continuation of the vocation of Moses amidst the people of Israel. The book of Joshua is a rather different sort of book to the 5 books that have gone before. There isn't the constant relay of various laws and regulations. Instead, we're just told you must keep the law of God. And the keeping of the law is a sign of your fidelity to God. Just as God has provided his people with Joshua as a sign of his fidelity to them, so too, if we keep the law, if Joshua, the people keep the law, that's a sign of their fidelity to God. It works both ways. So there we'll leave it with the chosen people on the brink of conquest of the land. The next chapter, which we'll look at tomorrow, concerns Rahab the prostitute. And as you would expect, it's a very exciting chapter. It's in fact the first spy story ever written. All the very best. See you then. Bye.